Welcome on back to Skippers. Today I have 3 players I am trying to buy right now in fantasy baseball. The first player I'm trying to buy right now is Corey Seager of the Rangers, 227 average, 15 homers, 33 RBIs, 36 runs, and 3 stolen bases. Obviously, you look at this counting stats and what do you see right away? 227 average, 15 home runs, right? So the 227 average really doesn't tell the story of his season so far. His expected batting average is 287. He has a 422 slugging percentage, but an X slug of 565. His strikeout rate is lower than his career average. He is running the lowest weighted runs created plus of his career at 104, but 104 weighted runs created plus means that it's higher than still the league average. Obviously, opportunities to drive in runs is kind of what's weird about this. 15 homers, only 33 RBIs. 15 of those at least came from home runs, right? If you're just not driving in runs in other situations, it's kind of weird. 33 is a decent number at this point in the season. Not for someone who should be hitting 3 with what he's getting paid, but I don't think it's that big of an issue. Right now, he's running a 230 batting average on balls in play, which is 95 points lower than his career average. His hard hit percentage is higher than his career average. His barrel rate is higher than his career average, and he's still hitting 260 with runners in scoring position. The counting stats don't reflect how he's been swinging the bat this season. He should have a chance to drive in more runs. That's the kind of weird thing, I think. Obviously, 15 home runs is a good amount, but the 33 runs batted in, I just can't really wrap my head around it. Obviously, average is something that is weird as well, but I think he should have some chances to drive in some more runs, get this average up, and this Rangers team should kind of improve in the second half, so that is why I am buying Corey Seager. The second player I'm buying right now is Lucas Giolito of the White Sox. Right now, 4-4, 5.19 ERA, 69 innings pitched, 82 strikeouts, 1.53 whip. I was reading Fantasy Pros, and they kind of just summed this up perfectly, so I'm going to just read off what they said. Lucas Giolito isn't as bad as he's looked at times this season. His 5.19 ERA is nearly 2 runs higher than the 3.53 number he pitched to over 178 and 2/3 innings last season, while striking out 201 batters in that span. His underlying numbers are somewhat split on just how much they are expected to normalize. His FIP is 5.08. His expected ERA is 5.23. So that seems to believe that his 5.19 ERA isn't as far off as from what he's earned at this point. But you look at his xFIP is 372 and his SIERA is 369. And this tells a little bit of a different story about Lucas Giolito. Whoever wrote this says he's inclined to side with the SIERA and xFIP on this one, and he thinks because of an batting average of balls in play of 360, which is fucking nuts, and an inflated home run to fly ball rate, which is 20.3 this season, after 4 consecutive seasons being in the 13% mark, those should regress to the norm, and they should resemble his career averages as he should just be better in the second half in general. Lucas Giolito is a good pitcher. Some of the things that I've noticed in his repertoire this year is he's throwing his changeup a lot less, which is kind of weird for a guy who you'd think that's his best pitch. I think they're going to figure out Lucas Giolito in the second half. He had a pretty good outing against the Angels last night, I believe it was. I think Lucas Giolito is a guy was a pretty solid pitcher for these couple of years where you just plug and play. You don't have to worry about Lucas Giolito. I think he's going to be fine in the second half. I don't want to give up a ton, like a decently performing arm here, but I think if you can buy low on Lucas Giolito, you need to be doing it. And third, I have Adley Rushman as a player I am trying to buy right now. The Orioles catcher, 234 average, 3 homers, 9 runs batted in, and 15 runs. Alex Fast tweeted this today. Adley Rushman before and after June 10th. Before, in 62 plate appearances, 226 OBP, 200 weighted on base average, and a 23 weighted runs created plus. That's a horrible number. But after June 10th, 59 plate appearances, he has a 373 OBP, 441 weighted on base average, and a 193 weighted runs created plus. Adley Rushman has clearly turned a corner at this point. He was a generational prospect for a reason, but he was being talked about being droppable in fantasy spaces on Twitter just a week ago. He's running a strikeout percentage of 18, which is 4 points lower than the league average, which is something I see for a rookie coming into the league. If you're not going to strike out a lot, you have a very good chance to still be successful. His expected batting average is 50 points higher than his actual batting average at 283, and his hard hit rate and his barrel percentage are both higher than the league average by a decent amount. I think the hard hit rate's greater than the league average by like 10 points. His batted ball percentages seem to line up with most of his minor league numbers. Well, he is going the opposite way, a little bit less, but maybe that's just how they've pitched him as he's come up to the big leagues recently. Rushman is a super talented hitter for a reason, and it is a player I'm trying to acquire before he can kind of break out here and even make a run at AL Rookie of the Year. Again, catcher position's thin if you're struggling there. I know some people might not want to get rid of him, so the price might be a little high. But if there's people in the league who are so worried about Rushman in the first couple weeks, they're like, oh, I might drop this shit bum. This is a guy you need to send out an offer to. I think he's figuring it out here, and that's why I'm trying to acquire him. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm going to have must-add players at the end of this week, and then next week I'm going to have 3 players that I am trying to sell. Thanks again for watching. Join the Core. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you later this week.